You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Evening, everyone.
Greg Hectus, Moneybags. And more Moneybags, Kyle Pendergraft.
How's it going, everybody?
David Hall.
I'm the popper.
And Tony Groves.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey. So on today's show, we'll discuss iRacing making another monster acquisition. The field is set for the 2022 E-Nascar Coke Series, which we will review, and we'll check out a sim rig that could be a piece of fine furniture.
And remember, you can follow along with us on your PC or a mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of these great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. We hope to see you there.
Sim Coaches offers the realistic sim racing equipment you need to win more races online. It is designed for real racers. Hydraulic construction makes them feel just like the real thing. High quality construction, 100% leak proof, and lifetime warranty are the key features with these pedals, and they look absolutely amazing. Check out simcoaches.com and use the coupon code iRacersLounge to get 10% off your purchase. Simcoaches.com is your ticket to feel like you actually sit behind the wheel of a car, drive harder, and stand the limit longer. Now, I digress, Kyle. They have a nice packaging. Tell us what else.
They have the best pedal setup I have ever seen in my life. This thing is beautiful. All aluminum. Actually, it's billet aluminum, if not mistaken here. And the system they got for it is just amazing. Easy to use. I mean, it's almost like just a plug and play. The only tuning you got to do is just to set it to your physical likings. That's it.
I was impressed by the pictures you sent us so far. You just got them this week, right?
Correct.
We'll talk more about that later.
Speaking of now, let's hit the topics. And not new pedals, but we have a question from Trading Paints about what new cars might be released this year. And Dell dropped a little spoiler, I guess.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the director of iRacing. Yeah, second street stock, he says, Monte Carlo, and a proper mini stock 4-cylinder oval car for pavement and dirt. So what are we talking about here? Like entry-level stock cars?
Yeah, something like 4-cylinders that you could pick up for a couple of grand and run at your local short track.
Yeah, so something like a Goodies Dash series type of car.
It sounds like fun on short track, short track ovals and, little 4-cylinder mini stock. Yeah, I'm digging it. You think it's the same car for pavement and dirt, or is there different flavors here?
Probably all they would have to change is I know dirt, they don't like to have the windshields, right? And other than that, tires.
Now, he said a second street stock Monte Carlo. So I thought, I guess I'm confused. What's the first street stock?
Camaro.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a Camaro.
Well, that's cool.
So he didn't mention the Buick for the 87s, right? Because that was all but confirmed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's been announced. But he didn't mention that.
Well, this is kind of neat. It's just adding a little extra flavor to something that doesn't usually get like a whole lot of love. Like everybody's gotta do them, but once you kind of get out of it, not many tend to go back. So it's just kind of neat that they're not really like forgetting about it, even though they don't necessarily have to for participation, because there's always a ton of rookies, right?
Well, do the street stocks right now even really have to run a lot of street stocks, or I mean, short tracks? Because I know they get to run it like Charlotte. And,
right, they do Charlotte.
And I'm being old school. When I came in, you had to run the Legends, and it was all these tiny short tracks. You never ran when you were at Charlotte. You ran the Legends track, and I would love to see something like the 4-cylinder become the rookie car, and you have to run it at all the little tracks.
Great idea. Like I was just thinking that, like, have it restructure the ladder program, because when you're doing oval, I mean, you can kind of stay on fendered car or open wheel car, and so if you're on fender cars, make that part of the progression. Because right now you progress into street stock and maybe super late model or late model, and then you move on to ARCA and truck, right? And then right into NASCAR. I like it. The more the merrier, right?
So thought I'd just point this out too, because it was almost like the first thing I saw on our website with what's posted. It says Dale Jr. posted a response in the replies, and then you go down to read, and it's read 88 replies. Just thought that was kind of fitting.
I'm gonna go reply right now to ruin that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I must have an old copy because mine's at 87. I have to update mine.
Yeah, so it's
screenshot
interesting to see the replies other people have put in, about what they think.
How about the college football playoffs? This is a little bit out of our wheelhouse, Brian.
Yeah, but it's tied in with E-Nascar because that neat E-Nascar hauler that's been going around to tracks the last couple of races this past season, it made an appearance at the college football playoff game in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. So they had that hauler set up at the Cotton Bowl at AT&T Stadium that's in Dallas. And yeah, people were getting in line to check out the NASCAR stuff and try some sim racing. Pretty cool. I knew that we've had a guest on, wasn't one of the marbles, Tyler or Jeff, that did this at one of the tracks that they went out to this year, and they thought it was a really cool. They were really excited about it.
Yeah, look at the back of the hauler. It's the E-NASCAR hauler, and we've seen this before, like you said, throughout the year. And this is neat to kind of repurpose it. And if you noticed, Goodyear it's been rebranded as a Goodyear hauler. They put up temporary Goodyear banners on the sides of wherever it said E-NASCAR is covered up, and it says Goodyear. And Goodyear sponsored the Cotton Bowl, and so it's great that they're great partners with NASCAR, and we're able to use the E-NASCAR hauler to provide more value to these football fans, and obviously it grows the NASCAR product, and they're using iRacing up there on the stage on all those sims, obviously.
So Mike, if you're looking at that picture and guys are following along with us on the site, it looks like a giant screen above the trailer. Is that who's in the sim right now? What they're doing? That's pretty
one
cool.
Of them.
You're broadcasting to a lot of people. That's a big screen on top of that hauler.
I believe there's 3 rigs up there, big ones, and that's the middle one, whoever's on the middle one.
That's pretty cool. And it's a really cool way for, sim racing, E-NASCAR, all those proprietary entities to branch out to different venues that, to expose more people to what we do here. So yeah, kudos for them for taking that on the road and and expanding their horizons to different audiences that might not have seen this kind of stuff before.
All right. Next up, a update on a car that's already been promised in iRacing, the 2022 Mercedes W13 F1 car. Brad Philpott posted on Twitter pictures or a render that the render was based on a F1 mock-up. But the car, okay, let me back up. I kind of misspoke. So earlier when they announced the W13 on social media, they thought that the video that was shown was a render based on the F1 mock-up. But it turns out the car has actually been built. And he shows 3 pictures of a black F1 car that apparently is the W13. So you can get a good look at the front wing and basically the larger tires and all the different things. Greg, tell me what's different here.
I'd probably ask Dave about that. He's good at that. Greg's gone.
Greg has turned into a cactus.
So what's different on the car compared to an old car? I don't know
compared
F1 that
to this year's car is what I was trying to get at. This is the 2022 model, and we just got the 2021 model. So I'm trying to figure out what's different.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't really follow the F1 quite so much.
Yeah, I don't either.
Looks like the pictures pay a lot of attention to the nose cone. So maybe there's some variations in the wings on the nose cone.
It does look different, than this current. Yeah, the nose cone's different, and I know the tires are bigger. So
looks like they got saran wrap on the tires. Maybe that's it.
So it's got 18-inch wheels now, right? Isn't that what they were saying in here?
Now the second link was essentiallysports.com, and they had an article about this. And these were leaked images hours after the Mercedes New Year special. And so when I saw this article, I was a little concerned. I'm like, oh my gosh, iRacing has photos, they have information. I hope it wasn't leaked via that way, and ruined the relationship. But the photos came from somewhere,
Yeah, well, I don't know. When's this season start up? In about another 2 months, is that right? Can't hide it for too much longer. Got to get some track time somewhere.
Yeah, especially if it's being tested on a track, somebody's going to catch wind of it and kind of paparazzi the car, right?
Okay.
Well, yeah. I think we know our answer to this question, but it was asked by iRacing. Who's your favorite content creator in sim racing? It was a post in their Facebook group. And suddenly I started getting notifications as one person after another just started popping iRacing onto the replies.
iRacers Lounge, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. And so it actually is, who's your favorite content creators in sim racing and motorsports? So there were some motorsports mentions, that weren't specific to sim racing, but most people their answers were specific to sim racing.
Yeah, it was an iRacing post, so you would think that would favor the sim races. So how about I ask you guys, besides the obvious, our show, what would be your favorite sim racing? We'll stick with sim racing for this question. What's your favorite sim racing content creators out there?
I got to go with myself, Loud Pedal TV.
There you go.
Well, come on.
I had to. I mean, you left the door wide open for it. I did see a lot of Blair Patterson on there, and that's a good buddy of mine, so I got to give him a shout out for that as well.
So I want to say, our buddy Dwayne MacArthur shouted out the Aftermath. So, Tony, you guys got mentioned.
We got a mention. Yay. Yeah, that's awesome.
But honestly, as I went through the list, I think the most mentioned one that I saw visually, Kneebon 5. And Dave Cam, obviously.
That's a good one, yeah. I'm surprised Jimmy Broadbent would be on there. He's a pretty popular content creator type of guy.
But not recently. I mean, he has been doing kind of moved to real racing a little bit, and he hasn't been doing as much sim. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Sim Racing Garage.
That's a good one too. That's always good. I think one of my favorites to watch now is Boosted Media. Will Ford's YouTube channel. He's always got good reviews. He has races on there, and it's always really cool to watch him in his rig because it looks like he's in a real car. You can't tell the difference.
Agreed with Boosted Media for sure. He's definitely one of my go-tos right now.
Yeah, I tend to like watching reviews more than watching other people race.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dave. I like reviews and people just going over different hardware. That's always really cool to see. Stuff that they get their hands on that you might not be able to get to try. And Barry's always great at Sim Racing Garage if you really want to get deep into hardware because he breaks it down to such an extent that, he leaves no stone unturned when he reviews his stuff.
Well, obviously, we are all honored that our listeners stepped up and mentioned the iRacers Lounge podcast because we have been a source of entertainment, hopefully, and news for quite some time. So I was, like David, very happy to see the notifications rolling in of people acknowledging, that we are some favorites out there as far as content creators. This is great content. We're basically talking about what's going on.
Well, one of the things that is going on is that the 2022 E-Nascar Coca-Cola roster is set, Brian.
Yeah, so last week we covered the final Contenders Series race and the results of the winner of that, but we didn't have the whole list of all the new entries. But iRacing has announced the entire list of who's going to be running next year in the Coca-Cola Series. So obviously, if all the top 20 drivers from last year in points are all back, and then they took the next 21 in the Contender Series, and that's because somebody pulled out, right?
No,
Wasn't it Chandler?
So it's 19 of the top 20 actually moved on.
Okay, because in this qualifying status, it's either top 20 from the Coke Series before, or it says top 21 in the 21 Contender Series.
But the top 20 from Coke, only 19 are coming.
Because somebody retired.
Yeah, who was it that retired? It was
Was it Chandler this year or somebody else?
That was somebody else.
I forget the name.
We talked about it.
They stopped in the middle of the season, right?
Yeah, we talked about him because he was just didn't have the time to put into it that he needed to.
No, there was a couple of them. David's talking about the guy who was finishing 40th, but this guy was going to make the top 20, and he still isn't going to do it. Anyway, okay. I'm sorry I don't have the name, but yeah, only 19 of the 20. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
so
we actually saw one of the new entries, Blade Witt, last night in the Winter Series race.
In fact, win it.
Did he win it? He beat out Garrett, didn't he? Yeah, he beat out Garrett.
He beat Garrett Maines for that.
Preview for the 2022 season, eh?
Yeah. So it looks like there's going to be 9 different rookies this year. So that's pretty cool. And we talked about one of them who was from Elliott Sadler's Esports. That was Liam Brotherton. We also got we have a returning Mitchell DeYoung. So apparently, whatever is going down in the Porsche Super Cup did not affect the Coke Series race, which is good because he was a fun guy to watch last year.
Yeah,
well, I think I figured out where those guys are racing. They're racing over at that other game that we'll be talking about here at length here shortly.
They did have 4 drivers that made their way back from after failing to make it back into the 2022 or the 2020 season. And we had 8 drivers who were relegated back back to contender, but still made their way back in for the 2022 season.
I'm going to read off the rookie names just because, I mean, these guys made it, man, and they're new. And so they're going to be fun to watch. It's going to be probably, I'm guessing Evan would say, the best rookie, contender season of the year. As these rookies come in, I mean, there's a bunch of them, and they're really good. So Dylan Alt, Colin Bowden, Liam Brotherton, Caden Honeycutt, Briar LaPrade, Brian Mercurio, Kyle Peddle, Parker Retzlaff, and Donovan Strauss. And Donovan ended up on, I think, at Elliott Esports, I heard.
Yeah, I guess we'll probably start hearing some of the hires, for the teams coming up pretty soon, I would think, right?
Right.
When they all start get picked up by the teams.
There was some question if the Coke drivers were going to be summoned to Charlotte, for photos and stuff, and it appears they're not going to be meeting up, is what I heard.
Now, was that a pandemic thing, or didn't want to do it again?
It's unknown, but they're not going to be meeting up.
Yeah, I remember last year when they did that. Wasn't there some ruffled feathers with some real drivers? I don't know if it was Cup drivers, but some of the lower series drivers that were kind of had their feathers ruffled because they were making such a big deal about these sim racers.
Right. Like, why do these guys get to go to NASCAR or Charlotte? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they're not going, but I hope it's nothing like that. I hope it's just a issue with the pandemic. Who knows?
All right, let's jump to the big story. This week, iRacing surprises us again by buying a company called Monster Games. And they put out an announcement, and I'm going to kind of read part of this, but Monster Games has been acquired by iRacing. They're a Minnesota-based game development studio with a long history of racing game development, including the NASCAR Heat franchise and more recently the Tony Stewart Sprint car racing game. This acquisition brings another level of expertise under the iRacing roof and furthers the company's ability to bring the highest quality racing games to the broader market, including the console space. The previous acquisition announced was Orontes Games, and so this is the second company in as many weeks that they have purchased.
I did get a chance to give this video that we have linked a watch, and essentially his going theory with their acquisitions is they're trying to make sure essentially that the EA Games catastrophe doesn't happen again, where EA came in and basically ran out all the competition and then ruined the game.
Okay. And you're talking about a company called Motorsports Games, and the ones who have R Factor right now, and they're running the one that has the 24-hour Le Mans license. And I think that's where Team Redline is racing right now in their road series. But I'm going to read a quote from that, the author of that video, who's Nebon5, and he quoted in the forum, and this is kind of a summary of his video that he put out about it. And I'm going to read this part. It says, "I was getting very worried about Motorsports Games buying up everything possible in the market. They appeared to be just about trying to capitalize on something without caring about the actual product, another EA type situation we all went through in the early 2000s. Good to see iRacing start to protect this sector. We all know that passion iRacing and Papyrus has had for making racing games over the last 30 years, so it's great to see them dip their feet back into console gaming and do more than just iRacing to fight this growing mess that is Motorsports Games, especially since EA ate up the F1 license."
Well, there's a couple of really interesting points in there. So David made the point earlier that was a really solid point that iRacing doesn't want to have all these licenses pulled out from under them from other gaming companies, so they're trying to lock it in a little bit better than they might have been able to back in the day of Papyrus, where they might not have had the funding to do something like that. So that's a good sign that they're obviously in it for the long haul, and they want to keep their licenses as viable as possible to the consumers.
It says the iRacing, now back to the announcement, the iRacing development team will remain 100% focused on continuing to develop the core product of iRacing. Okay. We are at a point as a company that we are comfortable building out these 2 new teams to explore the broader racing game market to ultimately funnel serious sim racers to our flagship product, iRacing, on the PC. So this is more about we need a feeder system. We were talking about a feeder system just a minute ago, but they need a feeder system for sim racers. Like all of us, we're aging. Who's going to replace us? They need to get those people hooked on these racing games on console. I mean, that's why we're in iRacing, because we got hooked on those console games early. And so what console games do they have now? They have crap. So, and so this is protecting the long-term future of iRacing by building that feeder system of customers.
And that's exactly what was brought up in that video too, is that you're probably not going to get many 7 and 8 year olds getting into iRacing. It's just a little bit too involved, right? Brian's son is just now getting into it, and he's just preteen, or is he teen yet?
He's preteen.
Okay, but generally they're going to be more. It's going to be better for them to get into something along the lines of a console, for one thing, for the price, right? That's going to be a smaller involvement, less complicated, something they don't necessarily have to have a bunch of other. They don't have to go always necessarily into a race lobby to participate. So yeah, it's. I didn't start with iRacing. I started with. I don't remember. It was a PC game from a long time ago, and I ran one of the, I had one of the cheapest steering wheels with no force feedback that you could get back then. I don't even remember what it was, but yeah, that's where you started, and then eventually you discover something like R Factor. Then iRacing comes out, and so it's definitely makes a lot more sense that they're going this route.
Now, motorsports games, they did the very last NASCAR console game, I think. That didn't go over very well.
No, too bad. But just to clarify, this has nothing to do with bringing iRacing to consoles.
Right.
Nothing that I've seen means that this means iRacing is coming to console. I think it's just a different way of them reaching more customers and cultivating the lifestyle, basically.
It's more likely that they're going to be able to supervise the creation of a console and make sure it's not trash.
So the forum post that I saw in the forums, all the people in there talking, their concern is cross population of rooms to race in. Like, I don't want to be racing console people. Don't mix them, is what the message was I was getting in the forums. But it's about licensing too. It allows, iRacing has a ton of licenses, and so these other companies that are going to make console games, racing games, now they have access to the license because they're under the same ownership, and vice versa, and that kind of thing. So
yeah, it was definitely no fun when iRacing lost that Le Mans 24-hour Le Mans license. We all complained about that. iRacing did their best to kind of do a workaround, but still there was some contention there when that went down. You start wondering if iRacing start losing some of their mojo when they lose access to those kind of properties. But so hopefully that's what this means here, is that won't happen very often.
Now, this Monster Games that they bought is run by this guy, Richard Garcia, who actually worked on Papyrus with Dave Kamer originally. And so this is another coming together of some of the original team. And apparently there's other team members that are with Garcia on his team that were part of Papyrus originally too. I had read in the comments that are coming up back as well, so to speak. And so it's going to be one big happy family. And there's another quote here I want to read from forum poster Robert Chrisdale. He said, "Motorsports game is another EA, full of cash and trying to buy everything. Papyrus were decimated with licenses taken then, and between 2000 and 2008, we had crap titles from EA, which ultimately spawned R Factor, Modders, and iRacing, EX Papyrus. Dave Kamer and Richard Garcia, for that matter, have been through this all before, but this time are in a position to band with others and improve across the board and add console to the genre. Something being PC only has been detrimental to licenses. These acquisitions will help, I hope, open up new content and secure others that have seen a spread of license purely just because iRacing scope has been limited to the PC."
Yeah, they're like getting the band back together almost. So if you remember, guys, we had like a story about 2 months ago where they just hired somebody that was an original Papyrus guy, who was a tire modeler, I believe. So that happened a little while ago too. So that's interesting that it's all coming back together like that. You know, they required that dirt game that we announced, talked about last week. But I don't see that being an issue as far as protecting licenses, because that really didn't have any licenses with it. I think these are kind of two different animals. Why these were both done for two different reasons.
Well, it
Right.
isn't just acquiring current licenses; it's setting them up to be able to get licenses in the future.
Right. I think that first company, maybe we were guessing they were acquiring tech or talent, or maybe a graphics engine or something. But, you know, this one is probably, you know, getting the talent, but also, like David just said, the license part where, let's say you have a new racing series, Tony Stewart's SRX, that just comes up out of nowhere, and you give them a proposal for, hey, we want to be your one-stop shop for your racing sim and console game licensing. We can offer you a PC version in iRacing. We can also offer the console version over on this, you know, over at Monster Games. We can give a console version of SRX, and it's all one package, you know, and it makes it easier for them to buy to sell that to SRX, you know, when they can do it as a package. And NASCAR, the NASCAR license, you know, why can't, you know, iRacing get that NASCAR console license, so to speak, and be the ones, you know, and have Monster Game be the one putting out the NASCAR heat, so to speak.
Well, we got a quick one here. 2022 Season 1 Patch 1 is being released on January 11th. The usual downtime messages you can get on test drive, yada, yada, yada. It starts at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.
What do you expect?
I don't know. There is no patch notes. You know what? I hope, though, maybe they tweak the horsepower on that A car.
Next gen.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be the complete release, but it you know, it could be just a little knob. Bloop, change the horsepower.
Or
Yes.
what else is ready? What about the Coliseum?
That's a
Well,
possibility.
If they're ahead of schedule, if that's the case, is it even finished being built?
No, but they pre-designed it in iRacing. I don't think they're Are they really going to scan it after they pave it?
Yeah, once it's built, it's probably going to go away, right? I don't know if that's going to be like a permanent racetrack.
Yeah, I think we're going to get released the pre-built one, the one that they designed before they even went to the Coliseum.
Another thing I've been concerned about is what we're 2.5 weeks away from the Rolex 24, and remember we had all kinds of server issues last year at the beginning of that race. So I'm kind of curious if they're going to start doing some tests on that soon, or maybe there's something in this patch that has something to do with that.
We'll find out. Hey, Brian, who is Susan Flint?
Well, this comes from Clyde Coleman in the forums, and he posted a question because he noticed that he does a lot of AI racing, so he's racing the computer-generated cars, and he noticed that the name Susan Flint is almost always the fastest one, or like at the top of the field in these AI races, despite that the performance in those are kind of supposed to be randomized, so not the same drivers are always at the top for whatever reason. But this Susan Flint, she seems always to be at the top. So we did get a couple of replies in the forum. One of them said that she is let's see, she's a definitely iRacing staff member, and they thought that they put her in there as kind of a wink and a nod. She's a technical and customer support department, and she has a background in technical support. But they speculate that the developers might have made her personality really fast, just as kind of a wink to her.
But we do have a response from staff member Nate DeSelms about it, and he said, that the fact that Susan's amazing, AI speed has been pointed out twice has him curious. But he does confirm that skills are assigned to the drivers using the Chromium Engine's math.random call. But he has been finding articles saying it's less than random than other engines.
So does that mean the program is actually starting to play favorites within the randomization? That seems kind of funny. Another thing is when I do iRacing, it always seems like John Henry's at the top. I don't know why that would be, other than he's the money behind the whole deal,
Well, the other poster, R.E. Samuelson, he put up a Excel spreadsheet, and it's in another language, so I had a little time trying to figure out what I'm looking at. But Susan Flint is at the top of the list. Apparently, she has better numbers than everybody else. So he kind of confirmed what the other guy was saying, and yeah, maybe there's something to it. So maybe this is what we're getting on Tuesday. We have the New Atlanta Motor Speedway. They're actually welcoming NASCAR this week for testing. Trucks, Xfinity on Tuesday, and Next Gen is going to run on Wednesday and Thursday. And the new paving was completed on December 22nd. So this might be a good time for iRacing to scan it, during the test or right after the test.
Is it just me that Tri-Oval looks really sharp in the picture if you look at the article?
Yeah, you're right. It looks a lot more like Charlotte than it used to.
Boy, it does look like a sharp dog leg there, doesn't it? Now, I saw some videos. I think Kurt Busch put up a video on social media. He was in a pace car or something going around the track. The banking is extreme, and they're going to run the super speedway packages on this track like it's Daytona and Talladega. So technically, guys, we have 3 super speedway tracks now.
Well, that's crazy.
Is that going to be a good thing?
For me.
Okay. Yeah, I understand it. Yeah, from that point of view, but I don't know. I guess, man, I shouldn't say a whole lot till I actually see what's going on and how it all goes down. Like, I love watching it, but I'm a little worried, I guess.
From the video I saw, I mean, it looked like it was steep, like steeper than Talladega. I mean, or maybe at least the same, but it was steep, the banking. Very cool.
It's gonna have a lot of grip, right, with the new surface, higher bank. So it's gonna tend to be less time off the throttle for sure. Especially with the next gen car, I'm so glad they changed the horsepower, because this track with the smaller horsepower would have been just mashing the pedal the entire time.
Well, the super speedway package is even less horsepower, though.
Yeah, so the 670 is for everything but super speedway.
Oh yeah, you're right. Ugh.
And so this will be the 550 package.
It'll be less. Track. It'll be less.
Now, we understand iRacing did some mock-ups of this track before they settled on the configuration, before they built it and paved it. So, I would expect in this scenario, unlike the Coliseum, that iRacing actually goes out and scans it after it's been paved and gives us the actual track. With the Coliseum, I understand it's a little different because it's temporary, So who knows? I mean, maybe they're going to go scan the Coliseum too. I don't know. More hashtags soon, right?
Yep. Well, there's this Monday Night Racing league that features a lot of people in the industry, including some drivers, and they set a new record with the SimSeat 250 at Talladega, or 215 at Talladega, having over 47,000 viewers, making it their second most watch ever.
That's pretty good for a sim race, man. They don't pull those numbers in Coke sometimes.
Well, it's the Pro Series Invitational, sort of, but with actual consequences compared to how when the Pro Series was running, they were just turned it into a goofball show.
Yeah, I watched parts of this and was entertained. I mean, Podium does a great job. I got to give them to it. Pike leading the way, and they got some new talent in there working with him that I haven't seen before. But they did great. I mean, it was a good broadcast. The racing was good. They have a reset, and so that kind of makes it better, because you have people like Kyle Busch, he got taken out in a big wreck, and you're always wanting to watch how he does. Of course, he had a reset, so he was still in it, and to see how he would shake out. But it ended up being Matt Stallnecht winning the race. Yeah, pretty cool.
And that wasn't a race where they had DW and in the booth or anything like that, right?
No, this was Pike and some new talent, I think it was.
Okay, because they usually advertise when Larry Mack and DW are in the booth with those guys, and I thought maybe that could have boosted some of the numbers, but this is just the regular broadcast team. Just pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you got people like Anthony Alfredo in the race, Garrett Smithley. I see TJ Majors, Raja Caruth, Tim Duggar, the country singer, Kyle Busch, like I mentioned, Stefan Wilson, the IndyCar driver. Yeah, it's entertaining. Check it out Monday night, guys.
I'll pick up the next one. iRacing is back at the Chili Bowl. Christopher Bell has tweeted out that he is stoked to have iRacing sponsorship once again for the Chili Bowl Nationals.
Well, they can't pick anyone better except for maybe Kyle Larson, right?
Well, they used to have both of them. I don't think they did Kyle last year because of all he was.
Well, Kyle had somebody else.
He was going through a lot last year as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't heard of a second driver yet. I'm sure they got two drivers, so can't imagine they only did one. They've always done two.
That shaped car is really good for signage.
Yeah, the iRacing really big and bold on the right side. I mean, all the way from the front tire to above the back tire. I mean, the word iRacing, I mean, it really sticks out.
How do you like the number placement?
Guess it's okay. I love the colors, though. Well done.
I like how they had the iRacer driver on that left corner panel behind the driver's seat. Looks really cool there.
This is the same paint we saw maybe 2 years ago. I don't think it's any different.
You can actually get this paint in the service.
Trading
I think
paint.
it's one of the. No, I think it's actually built into the
default ones.
built in. It's one of the
Oh,
default
the default.
choices. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, David. It is pretty cool. What's the Chili Bowl's coming up in the second week of January? I think. Or is it this
Should be
weekend?
soon.
Yeah, hashtag soon.
Looks like we're going to talk about the Lbrl Metro Cup next, Brian.
Yeah, so I got a message from Dwayne MacArthur, one of the top guys over there at the OBRL, and he wanted to put the word out for the Metro Ford 40-week Cup Series that's starting in February. Get the word out because they've really ramped up their game on this series. So it's a 40-week series that follows the NASCAR Cup season. They've added 2 new sponsors. Metro Cup is the Metro dealership in Chicago that one of the members is the owner of, Patrick Milligan. They've added 2 new sponsors, Kimball and Victory Lane Sports, and they've all put it together to make a $3,000 prize pool for the season. So they're really stepping up their game over there at the Metro Ford OBRL Cup.
Wait a minute. Let me interrupt you, Brian. So this is a free league that you don't have
Correct.
to pay for, and they have a $3,000 prize?
That's correct. It's a free league. The guys there just love it so much. There's a way to donate to the league, so it's all voluntary donations that you put. The rest of the money comes from their sponsorships, but people donate all the time because they have such a great time in that series. So the winner of there's a manufacturer's cup that pays out $500. So if you run a Toyota in the season and Toyota and you finish the required number of races and Toyota is the top manufacturer, you'll be splitting $500 with your teammates. They pay out to the top 10 finishers in the league. That's a $1,500 total payout. Here's what's pretty cool. They award 8 positions for the top safe drivers, so the fewest amount of incident points for the year among the top 8 drivers, and the winner of that prize gets almost as much as the winner of the actual series. So just to show you how much they covet and really want good safe racing, they actually pay out for that. So they got hard charger awards, which is $10 for every rate, $10 per race for positions gained. So they're having a Rookie of the Year and a pole award. So yeah, they're really paying out a lot of money in this league. The winner, and they're also they're going to be broadcasting the entire season from their broadcasting partner, which is a Team Goon Squad. So they put out good replays. I watched the one that I was in a couple weeks ago. All really well done. So if you're interested, you can always go to oldbastardsracing.net. This is their website to sign up. You have to be 35 years or older to sign up, and you have to have an I rating of under 3,500. Sorry, David.
All right.
I could have 2 more bad races and be right there.
There you go. You got plenty of time to tank your I rating before then.
I tanked it at the end of the season, man. Had a horrible ending of the year.
And for you listeners out there that aren't in a league and you're looking for one, this is the time, right, when the season starts, especially with the long leagues like this one. This is 40 weeks. And we have the Fast Track Racing League. That's going to be a 36-week. And there's other racing leagues out there that are along like this, but they all start at the same time at the Daytona 500. So now's the time to pick and get into something.
Yeah, even there are other leagues like the ARCAs and the Trucks and Xfinity. they all start at the same time as well, even though the ARCA and trucks are only like 13-week seasons. So if you're not up for that long protracted of a season, heck, go out for one of those ARCA series or the truck series. Are only 13 weeks long. That's easy to get in and out of.
Not only do you get great racing with those guys, you get unbelievable community with them as well. They're just a great bunch of dudes to hang out with.
Very well. Somebody else stepping up is BMW. Bavarian Motorworks Sim GT Cup is back for 2022 with a total of 10 races that are going to take place this year. However, this year, the events are even bigger with a series total prize purse of over $40,000. As in 2021, the races are 120 minutes long, 2 hours, and includes a mandatory driver change, 2 drivers. These events will feature the BMW M4 GT3 again, and will race on the following tracks. And we have a list of tracks. And the events are at 1300 GMT. As mentioned, 2 drivers required. January 9th is the first one. Now that's coming up here this weekend.
Yeah, so it starts at Daytona, and it's got all the really cool racetracks on here. So it's a good series and good season of tracks.
It's basically one race a month through January through October. Now, David, any interest or?
Doesn't this start at the same time as NIS?
Yeah, well, Daytona starts this weekend, right? And then the next race won't be till February 6th in Road Atlanta.
So January 9th is the first race.
Yeah, so probably that one you could hit, but no, it's 12 or was it 12 GMT or 13 GMT?
It says 1300 GMT.
Yeah, so that's -6, right? So it's at 7. It wouldn't be done before NIS starts.
So it would conflict with what? Daytona 500?
Yeah, and everything else for the rest of the year, yeah.
Yeah. And I think when I saw the forum post, there was some question about the times, but Greg West had said the times are set based on what BMW's wanting to accomplish and that kind of thing.
It's a little more Eurocentric, and I mean, well, I guess I don't know if that NIS time slot would be considered Eurocentric or not, but that's one of the ones we more often get to run.
My take on this is, wow, an event every month spread over 10 months, and there's such a big prize pool. How many people are going to literally run every event, and make sure they're in each one and not forget to run one? I mean, as the year goes on, I would think that the amount of people that would qualify to even get into the prize money would just dwindle down to a small group. And so, wow.
Not with the prize pool. I think there will be enough people that stick with it. Follow the money.
For that much, yeah.
And there's a lot of time to practice in between races, too. If you're really invested, man, you got a lot of practice time.
Now, there's PDFs in the forums on the announcement from Greg West. I had kind of peeked at them. And, I mean, there's all this stuff, from BMW that, you have to agree to because you're getting paid by them. It's their event. What about the big event?
Well, the biggest thing that we all spend a lot of time getting ready for and usually has one of the biggest turnouts of the year is the Rolex 24. We've already talked about it. It's going to be the 2022 IMSA lineup, which is the LMP2 and all of the GT3s, basically just about, that are in the service. And it's got 4 time slots starting at 22 GMT on Friday, Saturday 7, 12, and 16 GMT. So ever since the last year when they had the collapse again, they're sticking with this 4 time slot format, and it's spreading the load out, I think, just a little bit better because we haven't had a major catastrophe like that since.
Well, and it also gives, if you bin the car early, it gives you an opportunity to say, hey, let's just start fresh.
Yep, we've done that before. When they had the two that started like 2 hours apart, we got wrecked out in the first hour and just jumped into the next one. And we haven't decided which slot we're going to run. I know it's going to be me and Kyle and Tom and Greg and Richard Lucky are throwing together a team. We haven't decided what time which slot we're running because I guess it depends if you want to stay up overnight on Friday or Saturday. So
well, I'm off work, so I'm good for any time.
Well, I'm off work on Saturday, but I will have been at work all day Friday.
And this is not this weekend or next weekend. It's the weekend after. And the team fun car is Tony and Chris and Brian and
Tyler, right?
And Tyler and me. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. That's cool. That's going to be a good team.
I'm already practicing right now.
So it was the same team except David Flowers is out and Tyler Williamson is in. And I told Tyler he's got big shoes to fill.
Are y'all making Tyler start?
And maybe we should. Those big shoes, yeah.
All he's got to do is run into a wall and it'll be set.
You always want the rookie to start first.
Well, Rochette was, pulled up last year's schedule, and we were just going to use that as our starting point. And it had Flowers starting, so I guess that means Tyler starts.
All right, we're into events. Brian, how about the charity race at Daytona?
Okay, yeah. This is a pretty cool event, man. I think Tony sent this to us. This is the MVG charity race at Daytona, which is military and veteran gamers. So with military and veteran gamers in association with Haas, which is a high-octane sim series, they're going to be hosting a charity event to help raise awareness to the 22 veterans lost to suicide each day. That's terrible. That's a terrible statistic. But we want to kind of bring some awareness to that, so maybe we can change that around a little bit. There is a $10 entry fee, and it's going to be the next gen cars at Daytona. It's going to be held on January 22nd, and they're going to be paying out to the top 3 finishers. It's a 200 lap race, so that's a pretty much full length, right? So it's going to be coming up in a couple of weekends. You can donate extra to the charity by going to the PayPal at High Octane Sim Series. And man, so what a great cause. The gates are going to open at 6 p.m. and the race starts at 7 p.m. on the 22nd.
So, the first thing that I think we noticed is this is the same time as the 24. And I don't know if that's a great date to have your charity race, but nonetheless, it is on that same Saturday.
Well, I'm sure there's a few oval drivers who might be skipping that thing.
Or if you're running late on the 24, you could still participate in this. Before you run your 24-hour shift, go help out a great charity. And great practice maybe for the Daytona 500.
Yeah, you're definitely right, Mike. So yeah, it's something I seriously once we make our schedule for the 24 hours, if it's something I can work in, I might try hopping into this. Sounds like fun.
All right, housekeeping notes. Don't forget the Aftermath podcast. Tony, tell us what's going on over there.
Oh, we just got together last weekend to have just a little chat, or kind of what we did over the holidays, and what good sim goodies Santa brought us. It's pretty good chat. It's a quick one this week, but it's good. Go get it.
All right, we have a website, iRacersLounge.com. We're at the 1-year anniversary of the website. I know because I paid the bill for it, but it's been great, guys. I can't tell you enough the visual, to be able to follow along visually while you're watching a podcast or listening to a podcast. Hey, we're talking about some product or something. Boy, just go into the show notes, click the link. You can see it while we're talking about it. It's great. Check it out. We also have a great Discord. Kyle, give us a little preview of what people will find if they go join our Discord.
Well, the Discord's actually broke up pretty easily for everyone to navigate. One of my favorite areas is the media center. We can share not only us in the podcast, but everyone who joins the Discord can share pictures from races or some video clips if they might want to post to it. Just kind of share, their little bragging rights where they may want to. We've also got areas for leagues, so we're going to be setting that up a little more in depth. That's kind of just still sitting on the ground and getting ready to take off. We've got areas for setup talks, and you can also upload some setups. So, like, if you have a question about a setup and whatnot, just go into setup talk and just ask away, and someone, hopefully, who has knowledge in that will get with you. We got some areas that are for the 24-hour race as well. Paint shop, special events, PC setups, and of course our voice chat areas and whatnot.
So we got the infrastructure in place. We need people. Now we need our listeners to get in and participate. So come be part of it, guys. I mean, it's kind of a ghost town right now because we just don't have enough people in there. So let's get people joined. Let's get some discussion going. If we can get some people, actually conversing, I would be interested in putting up topic ideas, and let's discuss those throughout the week. So we could have fun with it, but we need people. So everyone join, go find it.
I will be posting the link as well on our Facebook pages. So be sure to find it there, and hopefully we'll have that link in the show notes as well and on the website.
Yep. We're also over at Performance Motorsports Network.
All right, Brian, how about this Phylo sim racing cockpit?
Yeah, guys, this is a Phylo sim racing cockpit, and their goal was to design a Formula One style sim racing cockpit with an exclusive and original design, which you can add to any steering wheel or pedal, and have given the Phylo elegant curves that integrate elegantly into any environment. So this is like a really nice looking rig as far as the design. It's wood, and the cushions on it are this like white looking plush stuff. It looks like something you would put in like a lounge somewhere. It's a very elegant design, very furniture looking. It's definitely an F1 seated position. You're laid back pretty far, and your pedals are up nice and high. The picture they show has a direct drive wheel on it, and from what I could see, it doesn't look like there's any reason why you wouldn't be able to get a direct drive on there. It's pretty strong looking. I don't think you have any problem with that. This particular one uses one of those Samsung Odyssey G9 super duper widescreen curved monitors on it. Looks like it would be really good for a VR setup. So you wouldn't even have to worry about a super monitor like that. But so really nice looking, really comfy looking. The website's showing on that it's going for €1,399 euros, which they showing as a discounted price from $24.99. So they really marked it down quite a bit. Not sure exactly what that translates to US dollars, but it's on their website or their Facebook page for Phylo One Sim Racing Cockpit. You want to take a look at that?
One thing we always wonder about is adjustability, and they've got a picture on here that actually shows the options for adjustability, so that you can move the seat forward, backwards, up. You can move the rim forward and backwards, and you can move the pedals. About the only thing you can't move the height of the base, the steering base. So probably you have to pretty much set that by your seat rather than the steering base.
Yeah, so you're reclined pretty far in this bad boy. I would be concerned about this almost thing tipping backwards. It looks like if you lean back really hard, getting in or out, it might want to pop a wheelie on you as you're doing it.
So it's furniture. I mean, that was a great word, Brian. I mean, it's elegant. The wood looks like furniture would, and with a white cushion. This could easily fit into most women's living room. You could put this in a living room with a white couch and it would just blend right in.
You had to bring the women into it, didn't you?
Well, I mean, if space is a problem, I mean, go with something that looks decent and it won't be a problem, to add this to a living room. But look at the monitor. With the monitor, it's got the white back, okay, which matches the cushion. I mean, this visually, it works. The equipment is minimal. You got the wheel, you got the pedals. There's no wires. I mean, the monitor blends in with the look of the rig, and so stunning visually. I really like the design. As far as I tried to zoom in on the picture, and I want to point out, if you look under the seat where your butt would be, there's a round disc, it looks like. Maybe that's like where a butt kicker kind of thing or goes right there. That would be awesome. I mean, there is something round under there. I can't tell what it is. The other thing I noticed is the way the monitor is mounted. The curved monitor is on its original stand. It's not mounted to a Visa mount. It's got the original desk mount arm, but that desk mount arm is mounted into some kind of contraption that's mounted to the wood. The other thing is concerning is that Fanatec DD1 base. I know it has wires coming out the back of it, and I know where those wires are, and it doesn't appear that there's room for the wires the way this thing looks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although it does say you can move the wheel forward and backwards, but I don't know if that'll make room behind the direct drive or not, to be honest with you. But overall, just a real nice, sleek design that, if that's something that you might be interested in, get something that's a little different than everybody else, still has some adjustability. You like F1 style systems, and maybe it's something you want to check out. It's not crazy expensive, so.
Okay, next up is the Camis DD wheel review. Doug Thompson reviews this Camis 15NM direct drive wheelbase from China on YouTube, on his YouTube channel. I kind of perused through this. What do you guys think? We got another wheel.
He was impressed with the build quality, as he looked like he considered it all looking kind of medium build quality. The power supply looked like it wasn't cheap plastic. He said it was like a right middle of the road USB type cable. Some of the nice features on it were that it comes with quite a few buttons and toggles built into the rim and the base. The thing I was going to wonder is, though, it's kind of hard to reach those buttons when that wheel's attached. And the one thing that is missing, another neat thing is there were magnets that you could put in to adjust how hard the resistance was on the magnetic pedals or paddles. But the one thing that was definitely missing from the video is he didn't test it in sim.
Yeah, this is the one that has the buttons on the front of the base, which makes it kind of unique.
Right, but can you reach those is the question. Can you easily reach those when you're racing?
Right. Now,
are those buttons there, meant to be used in sim, or are they for another purpose?
They're mappable from what I understand.
For the most part, if it's a wheel, you usually kind of use it in sim.
Now, so how does this compare to Sim Magic? Tony Gross. Any thoughts?
No, I don't really have any thoughts because I haven't watched the video. I'm just kind of going off of like what a picture is here. And you gotta remember, like I got the SimMagic Alpha Mini, so it's definitely not putting out, this amount of power. But it's tough to say. Like the build quality on mine is phenomenal. Like the wheel is awesome, and the base is just as awesome. It's solid, extremely solid and reliable.
So I clicked the link to go buy it out of the YouTube video description, and it took me to some website where it gives a pricing of $200 shipping, $500 for the base, $200 for the wheel. So that's $900 with shipping. It includes the wheel.
That kind of make me a little skeptical, to be honest with you.
Well, that's about the same range as VRS, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking Canadian. You guys are thinking American. We're on different levels here.
For that much power or at that price with the wheel, I think that's a pretty good value. I'd probably wait till more people have it and get some more reviews, but...
You said it was $200 in shipping?
Yeah.
That's pretty steep for shipping.
It's coming from China, and it says air shipping.
Well, you don't want to send it by sea right now.
No,
Right.
You'll wait 6-month wait on that sucker.
So if he didn't have to ship it that way, if we didn't have shipping problems, it would only be a $700 wheel.
Right.
It's a $700 wheel with $200 in shipping.
Yeah, I'm waiting because it's that 20% of the cost is just to ship it to you. That's a little high ratio for shipping to product for me.
It costs that much in shipping for my entire SimLab rig from all the way from Europe.
Okay, so is this a good alternative to the CSLDD?
Well, competition's good. You'd have to actually have somebody compare the two to decide.
That's a lot more power for... Let's see. We'll see if more YouTube videos trickle in. We'll talk about them. What else do we have here, David, for CSL?
Well, we've got a CSL BMW P1 V2. And this looks kind of like the PlayStation or Xbox style rim that comes with that button configuration, except it's got the BMW plate on it, which is going to jack the price up.
What's with the orange coloring, stripes, whatever? I don't know. I don't know if I like that.
That's just a design decision BMW went with.
So this is an unboxing video by Fanatec, and it shows driver installation, how to set up the wheel, basically. And then it goes through calibration, what the buttons do, and that kind of thing.
Do we have a price on it, or do we need to hit the website and pull that up real quick?
Well, wasn't this the one that sold out the first day? I think it was 1,400 by memory.
No, that's the podium BMW wheel, right?
This is the CSL. This is different, right?
Yes.
So it's interesting that Fanatec doesn't put a link to their own product in their own video. But no, there's no link.
So this YouTube video that we linked to on the script here is just a typical unboxing. There's no dialogue to it. It's just music in the background. Shows you how to set it up and go through some of the settings on it, stuff like that.
I found it, $140.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. It's one of the lower end wheels and wheel designs with the BMW label on it.
All right, cool.
But if you like BMW, and you want the value rim, this is a good one to go. It'd be a good oval rim actually if you're a smaller guy. Get that. I think that I'm guessing it's the 13-inch.
Looks like 13.
Size,
I was trying to find a size, but it's not a 15. You got this one, David. Hydraulic pedals.
I do, and I gave this video a full watch. The value is good. This is coming from Sim Magic, which is the same guys you got your wheel from, right, Anthony? Tony?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
I've been hearing a lot of positive things about this in the forums.
Yeah, the reviewer was definitely pleased with them. The only downer he had was he didn't like the feel of the clutch, but he described the gas pedal as feeling very realistic, and the brake pedal feeling like a real race car, which is, I guess, what you get out of a lot of the hydraulics. He was impressed with how plug and play it was. He didn't have to do a lot of adjustments right at the get-go to get them working.
They look pretty freaking sharp too. I like the look of them with the black metal and the red components, red and yellow components. It's really got a look to it.
And there is an option on the gas pedal. If you happen to be looking, you can get the longer plate for that. That's an add-on option.
So what do you think, Tony, when you want to get a all Sim Magic set up at some point? Or
I'm not even allowed to answer because I know my wife listens to this show. I would get shot.
So secretly he's saying yes.
Yeah, okay, so, if I had a pile of money I could just throw at it, I would definitely very seriously consider these. Like I said, there's a lot of positive feedback coming out of like the groups and stuff I belong to about these pedals, and I don't know, I'd probably wait maybe a few more months, maybe another 6 months before I would like really jump in, because I think these are fairly new, and I just like to see what people are saying, after they've had them for a while, and the honeymoon phase has kind of wore off a little bit. But yeah, lots of good out of them. I mean, they'd be a good contender.
I think it's a little weird that the electronics box is kind of separate, and he's plugging the cables from each pedal into the little electronic box. The electronics box is clear though, which is kind of neat, where you can see the circuit board and stuff inside of it. But what does it just hang loose? It just like floats loose?
No, they send you some tape to that you seal it down with. Some two-sided tape.
I see. Lots of options for hydraulic pedals. Boy. That's one of the cheaper options we've seen, though.
Well, Brian, tell us about this next one.
Yeah, this is the Hybrid Racing Simulations Modular Extension Kit. So it's a 3-piece modular extension kit that mounts on a SemiCube or a VRS race hub. So it will just mount right on there, and I'll extend it out. It's made with aluminum. It's made out of aluminum, so it's not plastic. It's pretty heavy duty because those SemiCubes, they got a lot of torque to them. You can get them in a couple different colors. You can get them in red or black. The anodized red looks really cool. They run at 175 Australian, so you have to do some figuring on what that would be American. But unfortunately, they're out of stock right now on the website. But yeah, so it's a solid looking piece. It's really strong aluminum, the high grade billet aluminum. So it'll hold up to the strength and torque of those direct drive wheels, and I'll bring it a little closer to you if you want a little bit better adjustment for your wheelbase there.
The use case for this, my center monitor is right above the DD1. About the bottom of it's 2 inches above it. It's about 3 inches from the front of it. Now, would it be beneficial if the DD1 was behind the monitor? Maybe. And that's what this accomplishes. I mean, this thing extends is a spacer between your wheel and the base. So, you can get your base away from you. But I'm wondering why. I mean, what's the use case? Because my base is low enough that I don't need to put it behind the monitor. But I mean, I could, but why would I want to?
Yeah, and I didn't mention that it comes in three different lengths as well. There's 100 millimeter, 150, and 200 millimeters. So you can specify the length that you want to get out of that too. But yeah, so I don't know. I like it's kind of weird because I have like on this wouldn't work on my Fanatec, but just as for instance, when I switched from my one hub, the podium hub with the MPI wheel on it, I switched to like the Formula wheel that for some of this practicing we're doing for Daytona. It's noticeably further away than the oval wheel is, and I would like to have a little bit more consistency in that. Now, this isn't going to work for me for Fanatec, but if I found something that was similar to it, it might be something I would look into because I want that consistency of having the wheel in the same spot. So something like that would be good for too.
Absolutely, I didn't think about that, and that would drive me crazy too if the wheel was not in the same place. But I don't think that it just doesn't look like it comes on and off easily. It looks like you put it on and leave it on, but maybe that's a use case if they could have a quick disconnect one.
Yeah, sure. Something that hooks into the podium hub that extends it or something like that. That still snaps onto their quick connect. Who knows?
All right, next up is the Moza Racing R16 Direct Drive Wheelbase review from the Sim Pit. And I did watch this. I have too many tabs open. Bear with me, guys. As I find the video I just clicked. But this one is the orange wheelbase, as I call it, because it has on the sides bright orange color. With some black on the top and sides and a gold mount where the wheel mounts kind of thing. And so it's got a little bit different look than the other wheels. This is another China wheel. So there's Sim Magic. There's this one called Moza. And then there's the one that we went over earlier in the show as well. So a lot of these coming out.
So this was the R16, which is the 16 newton meter version. They still have the 21, the DDR21, the 21 newton meter one. So he was testing the lesser of the two, but yeah. So one of the things I saw that was interesting, I didn't know about that when I watched this video, is that Moza actually does parts for go-karts, and that's where they originated came from the go-kart trade.
Now, the guy from the Sim Pit, he's very nice and cordial about this company. And I think he said it initially had some problems and he had to send a different unit, but they did do that and he was able to test it.
That can be such an anecdotal observation, right? Sometimes you just get unlucky, like what you did with your DD drive that failed on the first day, right?
Yeah. Now, 999 VAT, so that's under Euro. So that's without the wheel. That's just the base. And then the wheels are 500. So you'd be spending 1,500 for a package. So Moza is definitely the most expensive of these three China companies, Sim Magic and Camis, and then there's Moza. And I don't know. I haven't seen anything that leads me to why to spend $1,500 on this? It's 16 Nm of power, Newton meters. And so the Camis that we just talked about was 15.
Yeah, it was a lot less.
Now, if I recall, the other thing that Sean Cole mentioned, or maybe it was Will from Boosted Media, I forget, that there was speculation that maybe these motors were coming off the same assembly line as well from these different companies.
Yeah, I can imagine that be a possibility.
Well, something that's not coming off of the assembly line is a personalized 3D printed F1 rig. And we've talked about this already before, but we have an update from Pat Starices, and he's got some pictures on his Facebook account. And he's basically having to print a whole bunch of little parts and then link them together. But looking at the my favorite photo actually is kind of a holiday photo. He's got the nose piece and front wing with a wreath on it.
Yeah, but it gives a close up of you can see that it's plastic, 3D printed plastic. And Kyle Pendergraph, you're our newest 3D printer guy. What do you think when you see this? Are you ready to upgrade already?
Oh, I've been ready to upgrade. Actually, I'm getting ready to do a fully enclosed printer next week. But yeah, I mean, I see this and I'm thinking, all the screw ups I've had in the last week. Does this guy have any screw ups when he does these parts? Because these, that's a very precise, type of print there. So that's where my head goes.
And how much is all of that printing material price wise?
For a 1 kilogram spool is usually between $20 to $30. Depends on what kind you get. There's so many different types of filaments out there. It's all just, whatever's in it determines the price.
So he's probably only in for a couple of hundred with all of that matter.
With that, I would say every bit of $200 to $400.
Crazy.
This is the second story we had where people have been printing F1 cars. We had the one from the college a couple weeks ago. Now this guy. That's pretty interesting. So I didn't catch this. Is he using that scale model diecast as his template for this build? Is that what was going on?
I think that's the idea. He's got a picture of a Red Bull F1 car there next to the print. And yeah, I would guess that's his model, but who knows?
But did he 3D scan it? How did he get it into the CAD software? I wonder.
Now, initially, I thought this was a follow-up from the school that we talked about before, but this is something new. This different guy.
Yeah, this is a different one. So that and Kyle makes 3, right?
Are you going to print a simulator?
I wish I could. I did actually print the cones for a wind simulator, so got that in the works.
Okay, Brian, we do have Will from Boosted Media next.
Yeah, so Will's been real busy lately after his little flood. If you don't watch his show, his basement flooded when they had really bad storms down under where he lives. But he's been real busy lately. He's reviewed 2 different headsets, VR headsets, the Pimax Vision 8KX and that new Varho Aero. So he reviewed both of them. I'll give you a quick rundown of his thoughts on both of them. And it's kind of the same thing I've heard from other reviewers on both of them, to be honest with you. So the Pimax 8KX, I had one of the guys from the team, I think Tony Rochette, was a little confused the way they phrased the 8K. It's basically 2 4K lenses, so they call it an 8K. which is basically what the Reverb is, and the Varjo is actually a little bit more better than that. The difference between the Pimax 8K is that that resolution is spaced over a bigger size screen. So because of the extreme field of view that the Pimax has, so it's not quite as sharp as the Varjo. The Varjo is a higher resolution, and it's in a more compact couple of screens. So you get about the same field of view on the Varjo as you would like on the HP Reverb, but the fidelity is higher. So the Pimax, his issues were it's a heavy unit. It's really heavy because of how wide it is to get those wide screens on there. So it's heavy. He was having problems with it. It's pinching on his nose and being uncomfortable on his nose, all that extra weight. The other concern with the Pimax is that field of view is really wide, but the distortion on the edges of it gets kind of wonky. So although you do have that wide field of view, the edges of it get a little distorted. So that's pretty much what I've heard from a lot of people with the Pimax. It's a solid headset. For field of view, there's just nothing that even comes close to it. But there are some sacrifices to it: the weight and a little bit of distortion at the edges. But his review of the Varjo Aero was he was actually really impressed with that headset. So this is the high-end headset. It runs about $2,000 for the headset without the base stations that you're going to need, and it doesn't come with controllers. So he tried this unit out. It didn't have any sound with it either, so he's using his own headsets. He is using a beta version, so we're not sure if that's gonna be the final product. But the clarity and colors and brightness of the Varjo, he was very enthusiastic about, very excited. He said it was just near photorealistic. It was just a fantastic view. I don't remember him having anything bad to say about it, other than the price being so high. If you're gonna, if money's not an object, you can. It's are you going to spend $2,000 on this headset as opposed to $500 for a Reverb? Is it that much of a difference that you're going to spend 4 times as much and then some with the base stations? But as far as the the review without having any qualifiers, he said this is by far the best screen he's seen yet. He said the idea headset would be like this quality of image with the width of the Pimax. So that would be his ultimate game changer. The final product of the best headset he could imagine. But so those are basically his thoughts on those 2 headsets there.
Yeah, he did mention that he also tested several of the different softwares at Max Graphics, and he's got a very high-end PC, and particularly the Pimax, he had to roll the graphics back quite a bit and limit the FPS to 75 rather than 90. So if you're spending that much money for that much resolution, and then you're immediately having to roll back all the settings, it's the question is, what's the point?
Yeah, that's a good point, David. And it seems to me like that these VR headsets are almost outpacing the hardware to run them. It's almost to the point where you can't get hardware fast enough to run these things at this point. So I think the technology of VR is going to be kind of thwarted a little bit by the ability of you to get affordable and high quality enough equipment to run it at its best settings. So I think there's going to be a little bit of technological bottleneck for VR for the not too distant future until a little bit better graphics cards come out, maybe faster processors, things like that to make it all worthwhile to really start going high end on these VR headsets.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a 3090 to run it, and then you might have to turn stuff down. That's
Yeah. Like I said, I just think the VR headsets are just outpacing the technology to drive them at this point. So hopefully it'll change and it'll come around, and you can get better headsets for a better price.
All right, we're going to hit one more hardware, and Linus Tech Tips posted up a video of him building his ultimate racing setup. So, I never thought in a million years we would see Linus Tech Tips doing sim racing. We watch his stuff because of computer stuff, like computer hardware and graphics cards and stuff like that. But sure enough, he hooked up with Sim Labs, and somebody apparently drove him a rig, or drove down to where he was and delivered him a SimLab rig, and him and his buddy sat there and set it up, and that was the video of them putting it together. And his buddy did all the hard work, and he was there for kind of comical fill, it seemed. But they both worked on it together and put it together, and then they raced it, and it was entertaining.
Yeah, it's cool to see the somebody who's not familiar with it, not immersed into sim racing, who gets a chance to jump right into high end type of system like he's got. I mean, he's got a Fanatec DD1, I believe, and nice rig. I think he had motion in there too. So a set of D boxes, I believe he had set up. So yeah, he had a nice system. And it was cool to see somebody's reaction to their first time in a system like that.
Like, as his buddy was building the rig, I mean, he took it upon himself to put together one of the Fanatec wheels. The paddles and the hub and the wheel, all put together. And it's like a million different pieces. And, he's trying to figure out how it all comes together. And like you said, for a novice who has never put together a wheel, it can be a challenge of how those things kind of piece together, and you saw him kind of playing through that.
Yeah, one of the things I remembered when I watched this was his reaction to the weight of that DD motor, how heavy that thing is. Kind of caught him off guard how heavy that dude is.
All right, well, let's move on to results and talk about our racing this week. Let's start with the Winter NIS Series. I actually ran a Sunday fixed P7. Great run. I led some laps, but slammed the wall at some point and had 3 minutes optional. Was basically slow, the last car on the lead lap, but late carnage gave me some more spots.
And now, do you recall what Adam was telling you? Stick with it, because you were ready to just pull over.
Oh yeah, and ended up with a top 10. So it was good for iRating to do that. I was concerned because I had problems in the 87 at Talladega where I would spin out at the front of the pack. And boy, was I nervous when I took the lead in this race. Tiptoeing to make sure that I didn't spin that baby out. But it was a different track, and I didn't seem to have a problem, and it worked out. So I was relieved that I kind of broke that curse, I think. Moving on to other racing, I ran Carb Cup a bunch of times and won at Daytona in my second attempt that day. I ran Pickup Cup as well at Phoenix 3 different times. Didn't fare as well.
I've been running just a lot of last week I ran a lot of Watkins Glen and Road Atlanta. The highest I got was a P2 in one of the Watkins Glen races. I've been testing out the Lamborghini. We'll tell you more about that later. No wins this week. It's been just a lot of they're popular tracks and just haven't had that luck yet.
All right, let's talk Winter League. So this happened before the race, and I wanted to talk about it. David, I told you when it happened, but it was this weirdest thing ever. So it's practice before the Winter League. I get in the room. I get in the car. I run 5 or 6 laps. I pull on the pit road. I actually pitted the same time David did. I park in my pit stall. I get out of the car immediately. So I'm out of the car. I'm looking at, it says replay, and the buttons, it shows the pause symbol. So it's not in pause, but it's rolling. And I just see my car sitting on pit road. And I was doing other stuff, and I wasn't in the car, and I was looking at my phone and things. And then I looked up at my third-party sim app gauges, and my oil pressure gauge is creeping up, creeping up, creeping up. And sure enough, the temperature just keeps going up and up. Well, the car's sitting on pit road, and I'm like, what's going on? Why is the temperature going red? I'm not in the car. So sure enough, the temperature boils over, and the car blows up and starts smoking right on pit road on my screen. So I had my car blow up an engine. I was never in the car, and when I blew the engine, but on the but I could see it on the, you know, when I was out of the car. It was the weirdest thing.
You say that, Mike, but that exact same thing happened to me about a month ago. I was in a race, and I parked it because I was having some technical issues where the screen was real jumpy. So I pulled off the track so I didn't mess anybody's race up. But I sat in pit road, and I figured I was going to sit there for a while and just see if it got any better. And every once in a while I hear my crew chief says, yeah, your engine's getting a little hot. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not even in the car. Your temperature's getting really hot. And then so after a while, I finally get back in the ar to see if it's any better. And it's sure enough, it had blown up while I was sitting there. So if you do that, this is a tip to anybody out there. If you pull into the pits and get out of your car, make sure you turn it off before you get out, because it will overheat just sitting there on the pit road. It'll blow up on you.
I guess it was confusing because I see the word replay. Like I'm in a replay. So how is the car sitting there live on pit road and eventually heats up and blows up, you know, if I'm in replay? So I guess that's what threw me off.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I just parked my car and got out of it without turning it off. And then, I was watching replays. I was watching the race in live time. I was been spotting for somebody. I can't remember. But, yeah, I was just sitting there watching it, and I kept hearing it was getting ready to blow up. And then, just sure enough, it did.
All right, well, let's talk about the race. There was a caution, lap 6, I think it was, where, Jeff Marble and Alan Roll were the two people involved. They basically hit coming out of the corner, and it caused a real big one. And I was involved, and boy, it broke the axle, and I was crabbing, like really crab walking, like that thing was going sideways down the road. But huge wreck, and I was disappointed because I wanted to run, and it looked like it was going to be a good race. And David, I guess it did turn out to be a good race after that caution.
Yep, that was the only caution, and I saw some people peel off, and I thought there's no way we were in range to make it one stop from that point. I was wrong. And so, yeah, it ran caution free from that point on. We went, I ended up doing 2 stops and finished P10. I think there was about 2 or 3 people, maybe 3 or 4 that did 1 stop that finished in front of me, and everybody else that finished in front of me also did 2 stops. But Garrett Maines and Witt, is it Brett Witt or what? Brian Witt?
Blade Witt.
They made it going hot, not even really saving fuel. I don't know how they did it. But they still finished in front of me with just 1 stop.
And Alan Pajari got a 3rd.
Yep, he made it on 1 stop. And I don't know how far they stretched it. I think they ended up stretching it about 63 or 64 laps. So I guess it was doable, but you had to start saving from the get-go.
So, Dave, does 1 stop typically beat 2 stops?
No, but I didn't think they could do it in 1 stop. It was way out of range. We were 6 laps into a 130 lap race, right? So it was.
But that extra 6 they got in the tank made the difference, right?
Yep.
Let's talk OBRL ARCA, Brian.
Yeah, so Monday night was the ARCAs at USA International. I missed qualifying because I had a conversation with my wife and didn't get back in time, so that screwed myself. Started in the back of a 28-car field, and I basically just avoided incidents. There was only a couple crashes, but they were all happened right in front of me. Twice I had to stop in the middle of the track to not get involved. Actually, like 3 times, I actually made small amounts of contact, stopping or trying to get out of the way of people's wrecks, and none of them gave me any incident points. So I was actually pretty lucky because they were just real small damage, small hits. So it wasn't too bad. Finished P11. Had some great racing late in the race, the last 15 laps with one of the guys in the league, Eric Essery. He's a great racer. He's one of those guys who like starts in the back, doesn't qualify, and always winds up in the top 5 for some reason. But he's a really good driver. But so yeah, not a bad race. This is week 5 out of 8 before we start the playoffs, and man, I am in second place in points, which is crazy to think of. So knock on wood. I'm not sure about next week. It's not one of my better tracks, and then there's Watkins Glen. So we'll see how it goes. But so yeah, not a bad race. I'll take the points. And also, I had the fastest lap of the race, which never happens for me, but I'll take it.
Well done. The OBRL Aftermath Truck Series, it was Josh Robinson for the win at Pocono, Dwayne MacArthur second, Jason Higginbotham third. And boy, Get Her Done Racing seems to be blowing up. I mean, we had a bunch of teammates in there. Brian, tell us what happened.
So it was a Charlotte 160 lap, and man, it was going to be so close on fuel that if it stayed green the whole time, it was going to be a nail biter on fuel. Well, there was an early caution, like 9 laps in, about a third of the field got fuel. I stayed out because I was expecting, more cautions. That was only lap 9, and we had 160 go. Well, it stayed green the whole rest of the race. I was towards my last lap, my last fuel run. I was calculating, and I was like, man, I'm like 2 laps short. I was, the whole last run, I was lifting way early going into the turns, trying to do everything, but I still wound up being 1 lap short. So I went from what would have been a top 10 finish to like a 20th place, something like that, after I was out of gas and had to run into the pits to get some fuel. Chris Scales was in this race. Man, he had a great run, man. He was blowing me away because we had one restart after that lap 9 incident. He was like right in front of me because we stayed out, and he just took off with the leaders. He was right up front. I think he got bit by the fuel bug as well because he didn't finish quite as high as he was earlier in the race. But it was a really good run for Chris.
Well, I was running NIS Winter. And you guys were running that, and I was entertained listening to Tyler Williamson. I think he might have had one of those, wine coolers. Maybe he had a wine cooler, but he was a little bit giddy. He had to actually make an extra pit stop to go to the bathroom, is what he wrote down here. But I think he also made a big error pitting under green and deciding that he needed to fix 30 seconds of damage while pitting under green, and then obviously lose laps because of it. So, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think that would have made that big a difference. That's a lot of time to sit in pit road on a green.
Okay, and Kyle, tell us how you ran iRacing IROC.
Actually, tonight is the Atlanta Motor Speedway race. Unfortunately, it's not the new Atlanta, so don't get a feel for that just yet. So we will be live on TLM TV on Facebook, and they post to YouTube just hours after the race is over. So if you can't catch it live, catch it there on YouTube.
All right, and I hope to run the Man Cave After Dark Truck Series here. Room opens in 20 minutes, and it's trucks at Martinsville. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's jump to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
Well, we're going to be doing a charity race tomorrow night. Daytona 6-hour race in the GT3s. We're going to be running Lambo. I'll let Dave go into that a little bit because that's a new car for him. But so that's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, as far as iRacing goes, it's kind of so weird. Like, it's been around since 2008, and like the past 2 weeks, they've acquired 2 companies, and they've never done that before in their entire history. So it seems like some big things are happening with iRacing. It's definitely has some pull and some muscle now that it may never have had before, even before iRacing when they were Papyrus. So it's good to see that they've really dug their heels in, it seems like, and are ready to really keep this thing around for quite a while.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this week, Greg was asking, how did they afford this? Was it because of the Corona bump? When iRacing blew up when Corona came? Or I speculated maybe John Henry's writing checks again. But regardless of where it's funded from, it's really good news. It really is. Kyle Pendergraft, final thoughts.
My final thought wants to be actually I want to give another shout out to sim coaches and especially to Lawrence, the owner. I got my pedals in this week, and of course I was all excited to get them set up. And there's a whole different world with these, with the software that just came out with these a couple months ago. So he sat down for 30 minutes or so and just walked me through it and just helped me get it all tweaked and tuned the way that was comfortable, or at least to get a good idea of how to tweak it and tune it to where it was comfortable. And these pedals are amazing. Like, I didn't expect to be as amazed as I am by these pedals. I've had Fanatec, the Club Sport V3s, and they've been good pedals. I haven't really had any complaints out of them. But to step up to the hydraulics was just a major difference, and it's made a big difference just on the track as well, and my comfort level of getting into a corner and being able to hit the brakes a little bit later than I normally would, and get the car set. So it's amazing. I can't go into detail right now, but with sim coaches, there are some new things that's coming down the pipe, some big improvements to the pedals. So if I was you, I would get on the ball and get these pedals as fast as you can, because when this update and everything comes out, you'll be highly amazed.
Okay, very good. David Hall, final thought.
Well, I definitely love my sim coach pedals too, and all I can say is first. Yeah, they're quite amazing. Yeah, I bought the Lambo just a couple of weeks ago, I guess, because Brian asked me to go ahead and help out with this charity race. We're running with a listener. Got it all set up. I've already practiced in it a few times, and it's actually a pretty comfortable car. It gets, what I like about it, I ran it a few times at Watkins Glen. It gets over the curbs in a similar way to the Ferrari did, which is why I always enjoyed the Ferrari, because I could really abuse the curbs. But it's drivable. It's not as tail happy as the Audi is. So looking forward to running that race tomorrow. And then we are getting things set for the 24. Been practicing in the LMP2 quite a bit this week as well.
So speaking of first, I was thinking of all the times you've been first, David, with hardware. You were the first with SimLab. You were the first with the pedals. You were the first with the DD1. You were the first with the Rift.
I don't think he was the first for the Rift.
Oh, there's Greg. You show up for the final thought. Okay, so
what model is your Rift?
Actually, no, you had the other Rift, didn't you?
Yeah,
I want to say Tony had a Rift first, didn't he? It doesn't really matter.
Okay, so Greg Hectus, final thought.
Sorry I couldn't be on the show tonight, guys. I had something I had to fix before the hardware store closed. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I don't know. Not going to go too much into detail, but I have spent some money this week. It's upwards of around where Brian spends his types of money, so I'm in his category now.
All right, so we'll save that thunder for another week. But yeah, you got quite a setup coming.
Yeah, I'm about said 10 to 15 business days because they're behind after New Year's.
All right, we'll save that for another week. My final thoughts, wow. You know, the iRacing to console has always been a nightmare for some people. Maybe it's a dream for others. That's not what's happening here. Like I said, I think they're grooming their future customers. You know, if there's no feeder system, then, you know, how are they going to get that? So I think this is a really good thing that they're buying these companies. I think, you know, it helps the industry, you know, the sim racing industry overall, because we know that they're going to provide a quality product. You know, that they're not going to let these other companies who represent them put out something subpar. And so I feel good about it. You know, it's a good thing. I don't care who's writing the check, if it's John Henry or if it's just iRacing has their own money, you know, based on membership growth, you know, so, but it's a good thing and I'm happy to see it. So looking forward to the next step. And boy, can we get the 670 horsepower car Tuesday? Can't wait. I need to get some practice in and get ready for the season. So with that, we'll see you on the track later.